Hello, this is Jerry Marshall again. I'd like to back up. I've done 3 videos now, and in case you're looking at these, I just want to back up and give you a little bit about what I'm all about and what drives me in this world of the entrepreneur. I'm a committed Christian, and that's a very significant part of my life, and that plays into a lot of things that I do. And this all started really when I was quite young. Um, my grandfather had passed away when I was 7 years old, and it was a very sudden event. And that caused me to start thinking, what happens if you die? What takes place after that? And that question was kind of hanging there. Well, in his funeral, the pastor spoke about Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. And as I heard that story, I thought that'd really be wonderful if somebody do that for my grandfather. But I think it kind of started me thinking this Jesus person was pretty significant. Now, up until the time that we moved to take over the farm that he had and moved across the state of Iowa, up until that point, I think I'd been in church maybe twice and didn't like either event. I was just a kid, but my parents didn't go, so it was just that was the way we were. Well, that changed radically when we moved to the farm, and my dad took over the farm, and my grandmother moved off. My grandmother was a devout Christian, and she was a person that read the Bible every day, and she was also a person that went to church every time the door was open. Now there was a problem, or at least could have been one, and that is that she didn't have a car, she didn't drive, she needed transportation. So since we were taking care of her at that point and continue to do so, now it meant every time she wanted to go to church, we did. So we went to church every time the door was open. So there was a pretty radical change there. But because I had this interest in what is this thing all about, in the summer, very next summer, this pastor came out and invited my sister and myself to come to Daily Vacation Bible School. And when he used the word school, I thought, this is not my interest. School in the summer, But the folks kind of overruled that. I think they thought it was a good idea, so I ended up going. And it was a good thing because all during that week, this very subject that I was concerned about was being discussed. And, that Jesus had come to give us eternal life, and we could be sure of that by having him come into our life. And toward the end of that week, the teacher asked if anybody wanted to do that, and I said, yeah, I'd like to invite Christ into my life. And when I prayed that prayer, I had an overwhelming peace that I've got that solved, that this is taken care of. And that was the beginning of a very significant thing in my life. We continued to be involved in that church. The church was very involved in the Bible, and my parents got involved and started reading the Bible on a daily basis after breakfast. And so I'm surrounded by that. And probably one of the things that really sent me in this direction or down a certain direction was we were over at my grandmother's for Sunday dinner, and they were discussing a verse out of the Bible, and she made this statement. She said, "That sounds like Paul. I think that's in 1 Corinthians." Well, for me, a young guy, I'm looking at it and saying, man, how in the world does she know that? 2,500 pages of fine print, and she knows who wrote it and where it is. So that curiosity really stuck with me. Well, our church sponsored, with some other churches, a summer Bible camp, and my dad always saw to it that we went to that because he thought he'd missed out when he was younger, and he didn't want us to. I didn't really like those camps much, but I had no choice. But this particular camp, this pastor walked into our room to do the devotional thing, and he made a statement that just grabbed my attention. He said, "You guys can know the Bible for yourself." Now, with my background and all that was going on around me, okay, I'm all ears. Well, he taught a very simple thing and probably made a great student out of me, no matter what it would be. He just said, guys, if you're reading the Bible, don't just sit there and read it, but ask yourself questions. Create questions as you go. Ask questions like who, what, when, where, and why. Now, he didn't just say that. He followed up by giving us an exercise in doing so. He had us open up to the first chapter of the Gospel of John, and we spent, and then he'd just say, okay, let's brainstorm questions here. We'd read a couple of verses, and then we'd brainstorm some questions. We never got out of that first chapter in a week. So he really drilled that into us. And I came away from that saying, good, I can know this, I can figure this out. And I committed myself to daily Bible reading at that point, and I've been doing that ever since. And so I gained a lot of knowledge about the Bible, and I got a lot of interest in Christian work. And and that drives me today, because I got involved in a full-time Christian work. I won't go into that detail. Worked with college students, helped disciple people. It was a very fulfilling and interesting thing to me, and I thought really of making a livelihood out of that. And this happened to be an organization where you had to raise your own support, so I had to do that too. And so I really have a place in my heart to help people who are out there getting a job done and who need help. In recent years, I've gone to a number of short-term mission trips, one to Russia and a couple to West Africa, to Angola and Namibia, and I've been to Mexico a number of times. And I see people, and I've met people there that, to me, are doing a very significant work. And I think particularly of a guy in Namibia who is working with the AIDS problem over there, and with people that are infected and affected by AIDS. I'd like to be a person who had the means to help all of these people, many of them as I can. And I don't have those means, but by doing business that I see has that potential, I'm ready to get on with on how to do that. And I don't know whether this interests any of the rest of you out there, but if you have an interest in it, feel free to contact me. I'd love to talk to you about it.